It's the end of the day. It's time to close up shop. However, something tells you to stay back for a bit. For the next hour or two, you'll be staying after hours. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Double After Hours podcast. I'm Aaron Gresser. I'm here with Charles Robinson.
Hey, y'all.
On a funny mic.
That's true. I'm on a different mic because we have 5 people. I won't spoil who it is yet, but this mic is not quite my tempo.
Yeah. And that mic is from my college, so
yes,
thank you to my boss
speaking of his college, Shane Siegel.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. Not too bad. Brice?
Hi, guys. I am Brice Guskovic, and as Charlie mentioned, we do have a guest in the house.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have my least favorite bandmate of my 2-piece band, my drummer, Jeremy Gombos.
Thank you, Brice. It is a pleasure to be here. It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, anytime.
Welcome to the studio. What do you think? What are your first impressions?
That guy.
The Prince.
Prince.
How do you not
Bro didn't know who Prince was.
Bro thought he was just the junior.
Right.
No, about to say Michael Jackson.
I saw the Predator eyes, and I said, smash. So,
All right.
What a way to start.
Yeah,
Good to
that
know.
is-
Good to know.
Speaking of smashing, Whiplash. That's our topic today.
Yes,
What
it
a
is.
phenomenal segue. But anyway, this has been a movie that I've kind of been bugging my friends to watch for almost 2 years, actually.
All of
I'm
us.
that friend.
Yeah,
One
and,
of them.
and Brice. Shane was the one of Man Culture because he actually watched it.
Yeah,
And
I've seen it 5
Jeremy,
times.
you watched it, right?
I've seen it twice now.
All right, cool. So I don't have to
Those
bug
are
you.
rookie numbers. Try 5.
I've only seen it twice, Shane.
5 for me.
All right, good for you.
I wonder how many times Shane's seen it, guys.
Dude, I literally cannot figure it out. I need it spelled out for me word for
Let me break
word.
it down
Shane,
for you.
I want each
Let me
consonant
break it
and
down for
vowel
you, Mark.
right now. Give it to me.
Let me break it down for you, Mark. Jeremy,
You can't get copyright claimed.
yeah, what? No copyright claims. Remember.
Right.
Anyways.
Which is a little bit of a shame because the music in this movie is phenomenal.
It
But
is,
anyway,
it really is.
we're talking about Whiplash. This is personally one of my favorite movies of all time. And we'll get into it why. But we're going to kind of first do what we did with Seinfeld. We're going to kind of do a round table, everyone talk about this movie, what they liked and didn't like, and what their impressions were of it. Before we jump in. So, Aaron, we'll start with you.
Starting with me. Okay, cool. So, yes, as previously stated, yes, this is my first time watching this movie. And yes, you've been bugging me to watch it for quite a long time. And that's, yeah. And so now we're doing it. And so now, it's a trade offer. We'll have another episode, coming soon, hopefully.
The next few months.
Next few months, yes. The trade offer has been complete. And we actually have another trade offer.
That's true. We made one before.
before we got started. But anyways, so I really, really enjoyed this movie.
Hey, Opa!
I did. It kind of took me back at first because I was like, I've read about the plot before,
Right.
I've seen the memes about it, sure. And I was like, okay, so it's gonna be like a band movie, okay, I don't, I play guitar a bit. Bass, yeah,
Tad bit.
yeah, you can,
Right.
A teeny
you can
tiny bit.
attest to that.
The size of them.
So I was like, okay, I'll give this, we'll give this movie a shot. Of course, we're doing the podcast, so of course I have to watch it. I don't want to show up and go, I don't know what's this movie about.
Who's this J.K. Simmons?
Who's J.K. Simmons? Yeah, which we'll get into him. Love J.K. Simmons, just
Yeah.
in general.
Sexy Fletcher.
Amen.
Yeah,
Preach to the choir.
yeah. But
He's like, J.K. Simmons is in bed. He's yelling, not quite my tempo.
The pace is not quite my time.
Are you rushing?
Or are you rushing? 4, dang it! Now swing!
All right, we're going to be doing a little upswinging.
You want to know why I threw a chair at you? You want to know why? Were you rushing or were you dragging?
Oh, but anyway,
Yes.
jokes aside.
anyways, yes. So, like I said, I didn't think I was going to be super into this movie. But then as I started watching it more and more, it was like, okay, so I'm picking up on the, of course I'm not the film guy, that's you. But,
me.
What?
Shane,
Me too.
this is the one white thing I have.
Yeah, don't take his white thunder.
Is that your nickname back in middle school?
It's my nickname now.
All right,
So,
Aaron, continue.
but yeah, after watching it for a little bit, it keeps you hooked in. It really does. And as the plot progressed, I was starting to feel this character and feel the emotions and everything, and just the way it was filmed. It was great. Thank you for making me watch this movie.
Of course.
So, anyways, moving right along, Shane.
All right, for me, I've seen this movie 5 times, and I did rewatch this, obviously.
Yeah.
I still liked it. It's still enjoyable.
Man, the movie you watched 4 times and you liked
No
it on
way.
the 5th? That's
You know
crazy.
what? Okay. You know what? Brice, get the hands off the head. But anyways, this movie, it was good. I liked it. The characters are really good. There's a lot of fast-paced tempo going on, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But camera angles were great, the lights too, and there's a lot of symbolism in this movie.
Can I get it because you
kinda
said
see.
symbol?
No, that actually
Yeah.
sounded like a dying goose over there, Brice. Are you okay?
No.
No, he's not
Yeah, he's
okay.
never okay. But yeah, I liked it. A lot of just a lot of stuff was going on in the movie, but great plot and good ending to it. I'll put it at that.
Yeah.
So, Brice, you are up, my friend.
So, as somebody who hasn't seen it 5 times, I was
In the same boat as me.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. Firstly, I was shocked it was only an hour 45?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was really short, and it was paced perfectly, which is funny because obviously drummer, you gotta
Right,
perfectly.
dragging or rushing,
But
right.
like,
Yeah.
it was perfect. Like, I think just the way that they even like arranged some of the scenes and some of the conversations and some of the conflicts, right? Like, I'm not going to get too into detail yet, but I just think everything was organized and arranged perfectly. And as a musician, I'm not the drummer here, but
Yeah.
as a musician, I could definitely relate to a lot of the things that he was going through, a lot of the inner conflicts that he was dealing with. And I just really enjoyed the movie. I think it was phenomenally written, amazing casting choices, and it was just great, man.
All right, I guess it's my turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Up to you.
One of the things I really liked about this movie, because again, this has been one of my favorites for a really long time that I want everyone to see, is that this movie does a phenomenal job at making people who aren't technically into music. I don't mean technically as in like, oh, you don't like me, but as in like they don't understand maybe how to read sheet music or what an eighth or the difference is between a quarter note or like an eighth note or anything like that. One thing this movie did very early on is very quickly establish the difference between what oh my god, I forgot his name. Andrew.
Yeah.
I don't know why I forgot his name. I was thinking like Miles Teller is like, let's call him by the character's name.
Yeah.
Let's be pretentious about this. But Andrew's like band, or that's kind of like, very like, I don't know, like typical, like kind of slower music. And then we see Fletcher's, and it's fast, it's big, it's bold, and you can quickly tell, even if you're not that technically into music and you don't understand like inner workings like this movie gets into, you automatically understand as an audience member why he would want to be there.
Yeah.
Which is something that I think is really hard to do in a lot of movies about music, especially a recent Oscar nominee Maestro, which was kind of Bradley Cooper's, like, oh, look at me, I'm an Oscar nom kind of movie, which I
Yeah.
talked about on the radio show a few months ago. And the biggest problem I have with that movie is that largely I don't think it did a great job at establishing like how we should be seeing what the characters are seeing.
Yeah.
And we just really didn't in that movie. We just kind of saw like Bradley Cooper doing a decent job playing a conductor. And while the music was technically good, obviously, it was some of the best ever made.
Sure.
We don't really see why he likes it. We're more of an outsider looking in, if that makes sense, as opposed to here, where it very quickly establishes how this world works and why you want to be invested in Andrew's character and why he kind of wants to be there, and kind of why maybe him being there isn't the greatest idea in the world. But again, that's plot stuff. We'll get to it. But generally, that's my thought, is that this movie does a very solid job at making music very quickly understandable to people who aren't technically as knowledgeable about it. So, Jeremy, you're a jazz drummer. What are your thoughts?
Yes. So I've watched the movie twice now, and the first time I watched it, just to preface, I was with my mother. That was an experience. But anyways, the first time I watched it, I sort of thought that, like Brett, adding on to what Brice said, it felt too fast the first time I watched it, and I didn't really like the ending. I didn't like.
Really?
Yeah,
I loved it. I'm
Enjoy
sorry.
it. Keep in mind, this was 3 years ago.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy not seeing what Andrew grew into. I would have loved to
Right.
see like a sequel, like him going into maybe a professional career.
Whiplash.
Whiplash
But then the second time,
Yeah.
I definitely appreciated it way more. Just the absolutely beautiful design, from the lighting, the songs. By the way, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
There was probably not a single song that I genuinely didn't like. And I realized, a movie like this doesn't have to be any longer than it was.
Right.
Yeah.
I truly believe that if it was any longer,
Probably
or
would
if
be a
there
little
was-
bit boring.
Yeah. You can't stretch a movie like that out. And the ending, I now enjoy it because it leaves you thinking. The movie where, the part where he's looking at his dad, Andrew's looking at his dad, and like, what's his dad feeling in that moment? You know, you're left with a lot of room for thought. Right. Where does he go after this and all that stuff?
I do have some thoughts about that scene, but we'll get into that later
Right.
on.
I could go on and on about that ending scene and kind of what it means, but we have to start from the top. No pun intended. Haha, music.
No.
But let's start from the beginning. And I really love what this music did at the beginning, quickly establishing conflict. Because if you listen to me talk about movies long enough at this point, you understand that my biggest thing in a movie that I think it needs to establish quickly is conflict and plot.
Yeah.
Mainly that, what are we rooting for here? What do we want to see kind of win or lose? And it's very easy to see. We see Andrew practicing alone in a very green hallway, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to get to it. And then we see Fletcher show up. Cast in darkness, phenomenal use of lighting, kind of establish what the heck he is from the get-go.
Yeah.
He's not a good person. We're going to learn that very quickly, don't get me wrong.
Exactly.
But smart foreshadowing that doesn't really beat you over the head. And also the only part of the movie that really beats you over the head with information is this scene. But that's okay because it does it very quickly, very gracefully, I'd argue, and a lot easier than a lot of movies kind of make it seem. Like, we know Andrew is like a first year, he's practicing hard, and Fletcher, you know, he's part of the jazz ensemble. He's a big deal, obviously. He pushes people to their limits. He doesn't exactly take good enough for
Overcoaching, basically, is what it is.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
And it's all cast in green. And there's a reason for that. In film language, green is often used for envy. And, that's kind of why a lot of it is cast in green. I keep saying Miles because I think of freaking Miles Teller. It's Andrew. Anyway.
Andrew Neiman.
But, because Newman. But, Newman?
It is Neiman.
Yeah, it's Neiman. I said
Newman.
Newman.
Back on the
Newman. Not my time!
Wow, okay. I
God.
just saw the neck veins show up again.
Wow, thanks for stealing what I said last time, Shane.
Oh, you're
Shane the Joke Thief, happening since episode 1.
anyways.
But anyway, yeah, like it's a very solid opening. We kind of get everything we need to know quickly out the get-go. And then, I don't know, what do we want to move on? Anyone else?
So there's something I've also noticed, like, after that scene, because after that, Andrew's going back to his apartment, and there's a lot of music going on, there's a party going on, and he's just alone in his room. And with that establishing shot, I kind of took it as he's kind of a loner. He just does stuff on his own. He doesn't like
when the character is alone in his room.
What?
That's good film language right there.
And then it'll obviously show up more in the later on in the film about his character changing and how sometimes of how he can't like really change all that much in a sense, kind of. You know what I'm trying to go at?
I think so.
I was
Sort
gonna
of understand,
say,
sure.
I was gonna say something that I noticed is when Fletcher walks into the practice room to see Neiman practicing. When it said that he was working on his double time swing, right? That's what it was.
Yeah, it was.
And so he's working on it, but just as my little brother's a drummer, so I live with the drummer, so I've come to notice when people are struggling to play something or they can really do it. But I noticed he was struggling on, working on it, and obviously that returns later on in the film when they go to play Caravan. But you see, like, he's kind of struggling, but Fletcher still walks in and is still, at least to some degree, impressed with him being a first-year student who's working that passionately at something that hard.
To add on to that, I feel it's very important to pay attention to the details that Andrew is a first year, and Fletcher's intensity that he brings to Andrew and like what he puts him through with him being a first year is absolutely insane, and it plays a huge part in every part of the movie.
Right, but also Fletcher, and we'll get to this a little bit later because this happens a ton in the plot, is a master manipulator. And he uses that to his advantage a lot, and he uses that here. Where he kind of leaves, and then he goes, gotta grab my coat, oopsie poopsies, or whatever he said. It was like oopsie poopsies, it's not oopsie poop, whatever. But it's a lot funny to imagine.
I think he literally said, oops, forgot my coat.
It was
Oopsies.
Forgot my
he said,
he said something like
he did.
something like
It
that.
was oops, I forgot my
But my
oopsie
brain wasn't
poopsie.
like, it's not oopsie poopsies.
Uh-oh, Raggy, I forgot my jacket.
But anyway.
I feel like it almost paints this image of Fletcher being as like a deity figure to
No,
like,
right.
all the students.
And they frame him as such because the way he always kind of enters a room and everyone kind of stands to attention when he's kind of
Exactly.
there, and everyone just kind of
He's
is
like an
looking
authority
up
figure.
at him in a way. Like, you totally get it. But then we'll move on a little bit from the opening scene. He's kind of at, like, I don't remember what the band exactly he was in called, but, like, you know, the whatever, like,
It's a calm band.
whatever to-do band he was in, like,
Yeah.
that, you know, it's slower. And then Mr. Fletchety Fletch walks in again.
and then calls for Neiman and another person, take him to his class.
No, it's just
Or wait,
Neiman.
was it just
It was just Neiman.
Oh, right, because okay, my apologies.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Yeah,
Because Connolly was, like, just messed up or whatever.
Yeah, and then he's just like, you come with me, and he takes him to his class.
No, he doesn't take
As
him
an
anywhere.
alternate, it was
Yeah.
He just goes,
Show up later.
Show up
Show
at
up-
6
show
in the
up-
morning. Don't be late.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then,
Spoilers, he's late.
He's just thinking about a girl or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well-
Nicole was the woman's name.
yeah. But double spoilers. He shows up at 6 to the practice room like he's supposed to. Well, actually, like 6.
Little later than 6, but whatever.
Let's say 6:15. But it turns out that the practice doesn't start till 9:30, so he's just there alone
Right.
waiting.
Perfect, like, illusion to kind of what's to come and
Mm-hmm.
just being kind of screwed over.
Yeah.
Just a
mind
great
games.
use of time and how much of an enemy it just kind of becomes in this whole thing. But, you know, he's sitting there and, like, you know, like, they all walk in, like, he's just kind of, you know, like, moving pages or whatever until, like, he finally gets a shot to kind of step up after he sees everyone. Like, kind of, after, you know,
Prepare, get
after we
ready.
get a phenomenal scene of him realizing someone was out of tune.
Yeah.
Which, oh my god.
Something sounds out of tune.
Right. This is kind of where J.K. Simmons' acting chops really come in because, I don't know, I think this is his best role.
No, it
Oh,
is. It's great.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Like, live action or voice acting, I think he kind of nailed this one. Like, the level of intimidation that kind of goes from him just kind of, you know, lackadaisically, like, conducting and just going, who is out of tune? And we get to see him
it
rat
sounds
someone
like we have
out.
an out of tune player.
A perfect kind of show moment where it's like, oh, if you mess up,
You're
this,
out of there.
this is what you're in
cooked.
for. And then he's like, oh, the squeaker. He's going to start.
Yeah, the squeaker.
Which I love how he did a little squeak in his voice when he said that.
Yeah.
Which then something that I noticed is it shows almost this double-sided
Two-Face.
Two-Face
Manipulation.
of Fletcher. But more than just manipulation, a more of a specified, like, he is very double-sided and he will play whatever role he needs to get you, right? Like, it's a further step of that manipulation.
Right.
Where he looks at Neiman and he looks like he's going to be, like, really nice, like, just play, you know, little slower than tempo, you know, whatever, and he, like, looks like
Right,
really
like, we're going to
calm
have
and-
fun. It's going to be
Yeah,
okay.
he goes,
You know
"Just
what?
have
Don't
fun."
think.
Oh, that's right. That's also after the conversation that they had the night before where he was just, you know, saying, like, don't be tense, just, you know, take
Right.
it easy, it's going to be fun. But then in actuality, Fletcher is basically the devil to him.
Right, but the slow burn it gets there from, like, he's like, okay, are you dragging a little bit? Like, and then it
It
explodes.
starts to speed. Yeah, it starts
Yeah.
to speed up, and then you see J.K. Simmons' character just start going all ham, all crazy to
Yeah.
Andrew.
For
Right.
quite a while.
Yeah, a long while.
Just, oh my, like, there's so many phenomenal quotes, like, in these little scenes. I want.
Get out of my sight before I demolish you!
Exactly.
True.
But I have a few written
Were you
down.
rushing or were you dragging?
Right, the whole rushing or dragging thing is a phenomenal, like, showcase of,
Yeah.
like, this is what this man is going to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's trying to help break and he's trying to break Andrew out of his comfort zone and just make him learn that he's not like a calm conductor. You're in a heated environment.
Exactly. And
Basically, he's making him say that he's upset many times. Say it louder that you are upset, and then Andrew's trying to say it louder and louder, and then he keeps going at him until he actually starts yelling that he's upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as seen later in the movie, spoiler alert, this style of teaching, the Two-Face, it can be very, very hit or miss with the violinists that killed themselves. Was it?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think,
Yeah.
or
The musician that was previously under is wearing that.
killed themselves. There's the one end, Neiman, that flourished from it eventually.
Right? Well,
and then,
somewhat, in a
well,
sense.
yeah, in a
flourish is
sense.
subjective
Yeah.
in this sense. We'll get to
He
it.
flourished and needed
He
therapy.
became an awful person, but he was violent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Win some,
vibing
you lose
with
some.
with the violence.
That's right. There was the physical side of
Right.
Of that-
Fletcher.
of Fletcher.
Oh, I forgot about that.
As
Throwing a symbol at him.
Oh,
or
is that
whatever,
a
but-
chair?
In 4, dang it!
You have any idea why I hurled this
1,
chair
2,
at
3,
you?
4. 1, 2, 3,
I was
4.
about
1,
to
2, 3, 4.
Get
all
there,
that.
Shane. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was about to say the other thing is was it before or after the chair that when he was talking about the rushing or dragging, he would
After the
slap
I think it was
Neiman
after
off
the
time.
chair. It was
Yeah,
after.
he would slap Neiman off time, and he's like, "Am I rushing or dragging? 1, 2, 3, 4, hit him. 1, 2, 3, 4, hit him."
The poor drum set. Poor drum set.
So gross.
Absolutely demolished.
Exactly.
yeah.
This movie just gross, man. It's a grossy movie. Just a lot of sweat and
A lot of
blood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's kind of necessary.
Well,
though,
no,
like,
I'd
to
agree.
bring
I'm
you
just
into
saying
it.
the way the camera zooms in on everything, it
On
makes it
some
a very
increments of, like,
massive
I
point.
feel like,
Like,
it was
I love-
definitely a necessary aspect of the movie, though. It showed a
A
lot
little
of
too
emotion.
much of it, in my opinion.
I don't
I
want-
think-
Really?
I don't want to zoom like all the way to the end, but you know
Right.
that one scene when it's like the camera's focused on that symbol.
Oh
and he
my
just keeps
God,
hitting it,
dude,
and
yeah.
the sweat's just going flying everywhere.
amazing.
Yeah,
It's
Great
interesting.
camera work there.
But that whole scene was just a lot to handle because you're starting to
Yeah.
learn more about who J.K. Simmons' his character is and how he's just this over controlling teacher. And I've seen like stuff where like this kind of like coaching and stuff. It has a like few people have success from this in like other sports too, because this is an actual like teaching method that some coaches use in basketball, football, any kind of sports.
Right.
He'd
And
be
if-
used in a lot of things,
Exactly.
actually.
And if you look at the situation that Andrew's character is in, it's like the worst thing ever. His mom left him. His dad doesn't really understand what he's doing or doesn't really seem to care.
Yeah.
I think he cares, but he just doesn't really get it. You know, it's the classic creative kind of disconnected from his parents because they just don't understand him or whatever. It's that classic dynamic. And he's a loner. He doesn't really have friends. And the most important figure in his life right now is telling him that mommy left daddy and it's over.
Right, and he uses that as kind
Against
of a
him.
drive.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
And, you know, we're going to see a lot more of that and a lot more of the movie, but we'll
Well,
move
sure.
a little forward because we've kind of been in this room for a minute.
Yeah.
The one thing that we kind of failed to mention before is that Andrew asked out Nicole, which was like a girl at a movie theater he goes to a lot with his dad because he thinks he's cute or whatever. They're going to go get pizza or something.
Yeah.
And I believe they go get pizza now, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
They do.
Yes.
And, you know, they're talking whatever. And there's one really cool thing about this scene that I really do enjoy. It's the use of camera. And I say that because, yeah, like, the way it zooms in on them, the closer and closer they get is such a smart way to kind of visualize their bond becoming a little more and more. But if there is
Yeah.
one thing I will criticize this movie for is that I wish we got to see a little more of Nicole.
Yeah, I'd agree.
That's
Yeah.
understandable.
Like,
I'd agree.
I get what they're trying to do. The fact that she's so distant in this plot makes the breakup like make more sense. But also, it's like I don't know. She seemed like kind of like an interesting character. I would have liked to know her a little more.
I feel like she played a good role of showing the obsession.
Yes.
That's a byproduct of Fletcher's what he put on to Andrew.
Yes.
How he got him obsessed in the art that they were doing.
Right.
So
I'd agree with that. And generally, obsession is something that I always kind of think about with this movie and just how dangerous it can be. But that I'll save that for a little later.
Yeah.
But
Right. And then after,
yeah, you know, like they're getting pizza or whatever. They're making kind of cringe small talk. They're talking about big chins like Jay Leno
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't
with
know.
him. And
Why
then
not?
we cut to the next scene, and it's I think isn't it one of the competitions in it? Like right after the pizza, like after the scene, because he wakes up
Was that?
and he realizes he's late, and
is this
No.
the folder where he loses the folder?
yeah, the folder.
This
It's the
one.
one
Well,
where
he
it's
wasn't late.
If I see one of these lanes, I swear to God, I will stop being so polite. Get out of my sight before I demolish you.
Yeah.
Right.
Was
It's
he
that
late for that?
scene.
No, I don't think he was late for that. I think the only time that he
No,
was,
no, he was late. I do. I
Because
think
did he
I
not
do-
get into a car accident?
No,
that was
much
later.
later.
That's
That was
later on.
not.
Oh, that's my bad.
No, I do remember. He shows up late, and J.K. Simmons is like, okay, you're not playing. The other person is, and he's like, and Andrew is trying to defend himself. He's like, yeah,
I don't know. I don't think he was late to
I
that
thought that was
practice.
that
No,
scene.
it was
I think-
not.
I think the only one that he was late to
was the actual like performance.
Well, I was gonna say was the one where he
Or it
had to
was-
be there at 9, but then the car accident was the reason that he was late. to the
5,
other
yeah.
It
one.
was 5. Yeah.
No, I
5:30, whatever. But the point is
Yeah.
that he wasn't late. He was kind of doing okay. Like the practice just got done. He did great or whatever, supposedly.
Yeah.
And then like these like Fletcher's like you're double time swinging. Like, you really earned your part here. We're going to make it to Connolly.
Right. Also,
And he's totally manipulating the crap out of him. Where he's
sure.
like, you never know. Like,
Right.
you might be a part-time one day. You might become a quarter later. Just
Another
such
thing-
jerk energy. What, Shane?
hey, first of all, calm down there, buddy. Second of all, before the pizza date, we see Andrew practicing on his drums, like trying out the music and stuff, trying to like work on the beat. And you also see that he's like actually starting to get stressed out, a lot more of the sweat, and his hands start to get all scratched up,
obsession.
Blistered and
bloody.
bleeding.
Yeah, all that.
He was getting a little whiplash.
I was watching this with my dad and brother, who, for context, are both musicians, and so we're watching it. And the first time that like the blood blisters start forming on his hands, my dad looks and goes, "Look familiar?" And my brother started laughing, and he goes, "I get his pain." And I'm sitting there as the little guitar princess, going, "No, I don't."
The passenger princess of the instrument world. Oh my god. But anyway, blisters aside, what?
That's really funny.
I got one laugh. I'll take it. That really got you.
That was really good.
All right, I'll take it. But after Connolly gets the part, he storms to his office like, "Dude, what the heck? Like, what are you doing?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Earn your part," or whatever. Like, it was a whole freaking thing.
But we saw that he got a phone call
Right.
like a little bit before he
Which
walked in there.
foreshadows the whole thing, which we'll get to. But, he tells him to earn the part, and he starts practicing really, really hard. Harder than arguably we saw in the previous scene that Shane just described, where now he's just putting his hands in, like, ice-cold water. He just has to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But, like, he's going through it. He's going through the, the ropes at
Yeah,
this
and,
point.
and while he's practicing, he realizes he can't be in a relationship with Nicole, so he decides to break up with Nicole, technically.
In probably the most sociopathic like breakup I've seen in my life, and that's coming from someone who went to a Christian school.
Whoa.
But
Dang, I was
Feel
gonna
that one.
been there, done
That
that.
is harsh.
So I was
That
gonna
a broken
say,
toe.
Yeah.
me and my dad both agreed that was the entirely right move, right?
Really?
Okay, listen.
you were here for him.
Well, I 100% would have done the same thing.
It could have been
Because-
done better.
No. Well, here's the deal. Firstly,
How does this segue?
Let me. I'm gonna rate
Shane,
this.
shut up.
I'm quoting this for Bryce's girlfriend in the future.
Thank you.
Plays out the way.
More in a public setting.
Babe, as soon as I find a passion, out.
No, here's my deal. If somebody is or something is going to keep you back from your true passion and from your true desire, drop that thing. If it's
You're calling women a thing?
if it's a priority, I'm not talking.
Right,
No, I'm
Women.
saying. You get what I'm saying, though, right? Like, I'm not calling women things. I'm calling them.
Yeah, you're
people.
calling them objects,
No.
Be careful now.
If someone or something is
There
what
you
I
go.
said.
Good job, Big
That's
Champ.
what I said originally.
You said thing.
Rewind the tape, Aaron. We're
not-
so
we'll-
basically.
Challenge flag.
Shut up.
Just call it on the field.
So basically, if someone or something is
Yeah.
holding you back from your passion or your desire, drop that person or thing, because it's just a priority check. It's not worth it at that point. If you want one thing more than another, and the thing that you want less is holding you back, just get rid of it.
So what you're saying is I should drop out of high school right now.
Yes.
Exactly.
So the other thing that I'm saying is I 100% agree with it. I was watching a concert with my dad literally, I don't know if it was the night before or 2 nights before, and it was a Joe Satriani concert, and he's one of my favorite guitar players, and I looked at my dad and I was like, "Dad, how do I get that good?" And his exact words were, "Forsake all else." Which is very true, because like if I were in Neiman's shoes and I am under this insane manipulative evil director who is pushing me to my physical breaking points where my hands are gushing out blood,
And your
but
mental
I
limits.
still want to get better, and I have a way where I can save mental and physical time. No matter what it is, I just need to take that at that point. So
Right.
I 100% would agree with what Neiman did. Granted, the social awkwardness that he carries with him throughout the movie, I feel, made it a rougher, more jagged breakup than it should have been. So I agree with what Jeremy said. If it could have been done better, but I 100% agree. Just get it over with. Don't waste more time if you're
Just
not
the fact
actually
that
going
he
to
did
be
it
able to
while
commit yourself.
smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bro
Yeah.
The smiling was kind of a red flag.
Bro was
there.
singing Zippity Doo Dah while he was doing that. But anyway, I'm gonna.
It was giving
We're breaking
psychopath.
up and it's on.
Anyway, but I'm going to push back on that a little bit because of something that we do see later in the movie. Because I don't want to jump ahead, but for the sake of the argument, I will. But the dangerous part about obsession is that, to your point, yes, if you do want to get good at something, you have to forsake all else. But that is a very dangerous mindset when taken to its extreme.
No, I agree with that.
Right, and that's why when we see the ending where Neiman is kind of finally impressing Fletcher, finally getting on his level, his dad is terrified. His dad doesn't know who he's looking at in kind of that moment. That's what that kind of shows us to the audience. Like, you, in order to forsake all else, you have to forsake everything that kind of came before.
I
In
would
a way,
like
you
to
lose a lot doing that.
I would like to rebuttal that though.
Okay.
When if I'm correct that to what you're pointing at when the dad is looking from backstage and he's kind of
Yeah,
like shocked.
yeah.
I think he's more confused and concerned if he doesn't quite know what's going on. He's questioning why did he walk back out and keep playing after. Spoiler alert! Basically, Fletcher tried to sabotage
His whole music
Neiman's
career.
whole career, and it's foreshadowed that would happen at, I'd say, 2 points that we'll get into later. But then after the song that Neiman already
Kind of
went
butchered.
rogue and led into Caravan when he wasn't supposed to.
Right.
He keeps going after the song and to do this insane drum solo, and it's I think the dad is more confused of like, what is he doing? Is he beating himself into the ground? Was there a recovery for him from the sabotaging? Like, what's going on, right? It's more of like
Right.
a concern of what is he doing, not who is this man.
Right, but if you look at him in that moment, right, from both perspectives, Neiman, at least from the dad's perspective, is a very kind of closeted and like, you know, like nicer guy. Obviously the dinner party scene, which is, you know, phenomenal scene. He's a kind of a
my
jerk.
favorites.
He's kind of a jerk, but he totally like looks like an animal. He looks crazy. He looks like that picture he keeps looking at.
Of Buddy
You know?
Rich,
right.
yeah.
He kind of finally becomes that thing. And again, part of this is, again, a little subjective to interpretation. We don't know exactly what he was thinking of in that moment. But I do think it has to speak volumes about the scene, that we both can have like this
Yeah,
very different
exactly.
perspective. But at the end of the day, we do agree he sees something has changed. But again, that's kind of something for later. We'll get back to kind of the flow we're at right now. So he's mad at Connolly. Friggin' Irish O'Neil over here is kind of like taking this big white thunder, and he doesn't really quite know what to do.
White Thunder's crazy.
Oh man.
Can we call him White Thunder?
Yeah.
Can we get that as a sticker?
Yeah, we'll get
It's
that
just
as
a
sticker.
picture of
doing a
Miles
lot of
Teller's
things as
face
stickers,
with
ladies and gentlemen.
the White Thunder.
Now,
If you guys want the double after hours sticker sheet, let us know. We have so many ideas. But
yeah.
Didn't watch the episode.
Now-
Didn't watch the show.
yeah, I already made that one.
Yeah.
That one's coming on the 25th. But anyway,
Ooh, nice. Now, going back to the movie now.
right?
Yes.
After the breakup, we get back to the practice room. Fletcher comes in and he's basically upset and sentimental. You can see in his in his facial features.
Right.
And he's just like, "All right, everybody, just put your instruments down. I just want to talk mano a mano." So he has music playing, and he talks about how he had a student who was working on his scales, how he didn't fit in with the group and stuff. And he also has jazz music playing in the background, and you can tell he's getting sentimental. And that's where we learn, I think this is it, but he says to everybody that he recently died, and
Car accident.
yeah, car
That's what he
accident
tells them.
Yeah, that's what he
We'll
tells
get
them.
to
It was
it.
a car accident, which that car accident will come in later, like later on in the movie, like, and you'll see it in another way. But
Foreshadowing.
yeah, foreshadowing exactly.
Actually, it's like a double foreshadow almost, but
Kind of
Pretty
it.
much, yeah. So he says that that he died in the car accident, and everybody's upset. And I think they just go right on with practice. I think.
Kind
Yes.
of, yeah. Like
because isn't that the practice where they kept them there till 2 a.m, or was that the next scene?
no, that was the same scene.
Okay.
But yeah, we do jump into the kind of that moment where Connolly is on the drums. He messes up, obviously. Neiman jumps on the drums. Maybe this is his shot to earn his part back. Chokes, messes up. Then we get the guy who's originally there because of the whole. Did we skip the whole like?
We skipped the whole first competition.
I feel. Yeah, I just realized we did.
Yeah.
We did.
But anyway,
I think that's what I was trying to talk about. The first
That's right,
competition.
that's right.
I apologize.
We'll backtrack a little bit to
Yeah.
that because that's also a phenomenal little sequence.
But that also
Yeah.
sets
We'll give
up
you all
for-
of you a little whiplash.
that.
Yeah, we
Hold on,
do a little
I think
editing.
we should kind of jump to that now. I'd say because there is a lot of it that sets
what I
up.
meant. That's
for,
what I meant.
Oh, I thought you meant later.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, like they're at this competition. This is before. Oh my God, Connolly gets the part. This is before. This is why Neiman is considered a core, and the guy who's kind of technically a core before him, Neiman's in charge of his folder or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
And-
what I was trying to get at. That's what I was talking about earlier. I apologize for
Okay,
that.
so he loses the folder. Because again, did someone steal it? Did Fletcher sneakily tiptoe his way and grab the folder and run away?
I think that's more likely what happened.
What did the
Sir, has there been any crimes
legs
committed
just
here
walked out?
recently? Well, I don't know.
duty?
Excuse me, officer. What's the nearest way to the bank?
I think that
Right.
plays into Fletcher's, style of teaching very well. Like
Right, 'cause
the idea of him taking a folder,
Right,
Fold
'cause
is just basically, come on, guys, let's get out of here.
basically, everyone's terrified. Right, the core drummer at that point is very angry, and Neiman says like he has it all memorized by heart, which I've seen because of how hard he's been practicing.
Sure.
Smart show, don't tell. And obviously, this is his chance to not choke. And wouldn't you know it, he doesn't choke. He figures it out. Everyone hates him for it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, hey, he figured it out somehow. He did a whole nice little thing, and that's why he's considered a core in a very weaselly way. He didn't really
Yeah.
earn it, if you think about it. It was more a happenstance of luck that he kind of created. But anyway, we'll jump back to the present.
Which they go back to actually.
Right, that is mentioned at near the end. Not even the end, kind of like the end of the second act or whatever. But anyway, we'll jump back to the present. This begins the 5-hour long practice session because these drummers just can't get on time.
Yeah.
We just keep watching them get sweatier and bloodier and gross and gross and gross.
And
I
you
was
see-
gonna
and you
say
s- sorry, you go.
it wasn't just 5 hours. They came in at 9 again, right?
Yeah, right. It
Because
was
they got out at 2 in the morning.
it was 5 hours just for the drummers to figure it out.
Yeah, and it was three drummers.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a 15-hour practice because they were there
No,
because they left at nighttime. When they walked out of that
was
practice, it was nighttime.
I'm on
Yeah,
the
they did.
Wikipedia. I'm on the Wikipedia
Which is why I
page
thought
right
it was
now.
2 in the morning, not 2 in the afternoon. Because when they walk out, that was when you see the shadows casting over, very symbolically, over Neiman as he walks out, and he's kind of.
Don't they
behind
show you the
Fletcher.
clock too in the wall?
They show you the clock
but of course
progressively throughout the
but
day.
it's not like AM or PM. It's
I'm-
like
It
doesn't.
the clock.
It's
Yeah.
it's a
On the
dial.
Wikipedia page, it says 5 hours.
It was 5 hours.
So-
And also,
might be an
Fletcher
inaccuracy.
does say that like looks like this might be all night when he's calling up Neiman to play at one part.
So unless they went in at 9 p.m.
I think it was PM.
It was
Okay,
definitely
then.
PM.
Oh.
Okay, then I could have just had that all wrong. Okay.
It's okay. But-
Regardless, that's
Regardless,
still a
it's still
demonic
absurd.
amount of time.
No, right. That's the point. And we just see these characters just sweatier and gross and bloodier until Neiman finally earns the part back.
Exactly.
Barely.
And after 5 hours, and also with showing a lot of scenes with Fletcher just getting really upset at the drummers because they're not in tempo
Right.
a lot of the time.
A ton of phenomenal quotes that we cannot say.
Yeah.
You've all
Yeah.
heard them probably a billion times before. Look 'em
Yeah,
up.
if
Sorry.
you guys listening to this want to watch it yourself, you can rent it on.
Let's
Amazon
listen to
Prime.
people talk about a movie before we actually watch the movie.
Exactly.
Are you rushing or dragging?
sounded like a certain political figure that I will not say.
No.
Cuomo.
What about Rivers Cuomo?
Yeah, because I think in the scene, isn't it? It's just the drummers only. None of the other bandmates or other.
Well, yeah, all the other band guys are kind of
they're
outside in the hall.
They're just chilling and
Yeah.
chatting. They're like,
What do you mean chatting? We never saw any of them talking.
well,
They all
could
were
be
frustrating. They
yeah,
all
they were
frustrated.
mad.
They're frustrated. Plus, you're sitting there listening to J.K. Simmons and his fuming.
Yeah,
Fuming over the
one
fact
guy
you
says
can't get
this
on
is
time.
fuming.
dude, he is the pinnacle of
It
fuming.
is the
Right,
pinnacle
and the
of fuming.
scene has probably one of my favorite lines in the entire movie. I'm sorry to the real musicians.
Ooh, yeah.
That was-
Brutal.
That one was
I know,
funny.
it was crazy.
But, and then after the 5 hour, whatever hour long fume fest is done,
Yeah. This is a fume fest.
he goes, hey, we got a whole concert thing at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Leave 2 hours to travel, or whatever.
Yeah.
And, to Andrew's credit, he does leave enough time to travel. He's kind of practicing as much as he can on the bus. Everyone's looking at him weird. And then the bus gets a flat.
Yeah.
So he's getting
Unfortunate.
screwed. and he tries his best to get there. He rents a rent-a-car.
He tries to get a taxi, but they're
Right.
like, "Oh, taxis, you got to call him or something." Or,
Again, the fact that he feels the need to actually go and rent a car and go to this extent to make it to this concert just is another factor of the obsession.
No, right. And, he, first of all, weird nitpick, but you have to be 25 to officially rent a car.
Yes, you
This
do.
is
True.
like 19 or
Only in
18.
some states.
Really?
But also,
Well, here it is.
in some
also,
states.
What's it in New York, though?
that's a more recent law
Rented a
as
car
well,
with
if I'm
my
correct.
cousin
This
in Philadelphia, but
it's
there was a
it's
lot.
due
Well,
to
there's nothing else to do in
insurance.
Philly, so, like, what do you want?
There's a lot.
Be an Eagles fan? Get disappointed?
Yeah, exactly.
reminds me of a certain YouTuber. Anyways, so
Oh, Brice. I know what you're talking about.
Leave the cupcakes at home.
I bring them everywhere I go.
Stop!
Yeah.
Oh.
So
It's 18.
Right.
Never mind. It's not a nitpick. I just didn't know.
I was
My
gonna
bad.
say
New
there's-
York, or
yeah.
there's
Okay.
that, but then also this movie does take place in, I'd say, probably 2000.
Really?
2014.
I think it's definitely like early 2000.
2013.
I was
Well,
gonna
because
say-
they have cell phones.
Yeah,
I was gonna
Like,
say.
very
I'm
early
guessing,
cell
like early
phones.
early
say
2010s. I'm guessing.
No, like late 2000. Well, it doesn't matter.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
2000. Like it wouldn't be 14.
We'll just settle on like 2009 or something stupid like that. I don't know.
09. I was 3.
the classic years.
Great. Also, in Michigan, you can rent a car when you're 18. I did not know that.
Florida is 25.
There's a, like, a lot of
Insurance is
extra fees.
insurance
That's
is
the whole,
25.
Shtick of it. At 25, you don't get all the extra
Hoopy doo.
18-year-old fees. Oh, don't crash
Oh,
my
you
car.
you just heard.
became an adult.
Oh, you don't have as much experience as 25-year-olds. Oh.
Yeah.
Dang it, Bobby! I can't believe you're renting a car.
Anyways, back to the movie. Now, Neiman. Now, this is the scene that I was talking about earlier. Neiman
Right.
arrives late, and Fletcher's just like, "Oh, well, I guess we'll just go on your time then, darling." So Andrew's like, "All right, when am I going to go on?" Fletcher's saying, "Oh, you're not going on, somebody else is," and he's just like, "No, he's not. I'm playing the part." And it's just a huge feud going on with this whole
my
thing.
pages.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just this huge thing going on. You just tell the tension between the two, between Fletcher and Andrew. And another thing that I kind of see, it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship in a sense, like with these two characters. That's my opinion about it.
I disagree.
Elaborate.
I hardcore disagree,
like-
but I'll let you.
Well,
go.
obviously, like there's a lot with the manipulation of how when at first it's kind of like, oh, Fletcher's just this nice guy. What harm can he go? What harm can he do? Then he learns more about him and sees what he is like. And later on, he's starting to get all like a little nicer, and he's seen him being nice to, I think, like it was in the first concert scene. I think, was it to his niece or a friend of his and his daughter?
It was his friend's daughter.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and he's kind of like,
That makes sense. It kind of like the way Fletcher like messes with him and shows the Two-Face,
Right.
sort of ties them together in the sense. So
Right.
I guess that makes sense.
It's also kind of like how Fletcher is leaving somewhat of an imprint on
Yeah.
in Andrew, and how it's affecting him physically with the drums, and how he's trying to like, get better, and how his hands are getting bloodier and bruised, and mentally with how he's just trying to experience everything, and how he's trying to go in this like. What's up?
right, and we do see that in the dinner scene because we kind of glaze over it, which I do want to get into before we go a little
Yes.
further.
Yeah.
Where
Now,
he is just a jerk, and I love it so much because the
Exactly.
way that family's body language and general speech mannerisms change when it gets to the topic of football and
it's
music.
it's
yeah.
a psychological change that's happening. Kind
I don't even think it was psychological. I think Andrew's always kind of been pent up in this kind of regard where his family doesn't really understand him, and he
Yeah.
finally kind of has an outlet or a way to express that.
Okay.
Like the simple line of I want you to play or whatever.
If you think our football is so easy, come play with us.
Of 4 words you'll never hear from the NFL. My God, I love that line
was so
so
funny.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And then later on, in that same scene, going back to when Neiman is late, Fletcher is saying like, "Yeah, I'll let you play if you have the sticks," and Andrew is saying, "All right, give me 5 minutes, I'll go find the sticks." And he's trying to find the sticks, and as he's driving, that's when the car crash scene happens.
right, which very fun allusion to the fact that another former student also got involved in a car crash. Was J.K. Simmons in that truck? No, but I'm just saying.
Are you rushing or dragging?
Not on my time!
In 4, dang it!
In 4-wheel drive, dang it! I've been thinking about that joke all day. I won't lie to y'all, that was premeditated.
Oh, yeah.
I thought of that joke, the idea that J.K. Simmons stole the folder and was the truck, and I was like, I have to do it.
Exactly. And then after the crash scene happens, and people are coming up to Andrew, and he's like, dude, are you okay? We need to get
No,
you
they weren't. They didn't care.
One person did. One person who hit him.
Yeah, the person that hit
You know
him.
what I mean?
No, he just showed up bloody, and they just dealt with it.
Yeah, and nobody
Yeah.
just like, you know what? I
Because
don't
no one
care.
likes
I don't care. I don't need a hospital. I'm going to do this.
Shade Seal didn't watch the movie.
No, I did watch the movie.
5 times.
I did. Wait, don't you watch?
And we skipped 2 major plot scenes.
Yeah, we all did. Anyways,
We all even getting this conversation.
Yes, you have.
yeah. Anyway, all right. Now after the crash, Neiman starts to show up, and he's all bloody and
It's all a little bruised.
yeah, a little bruised. He had a little mishap happen to him, and he's
Little
Mishap. T-boned by a semi-truck.
little oopsie.
he had a little whiplash.
Oopsie hit a curb.
Roll credits.
It's like the meme where it's like the girl in the Prius is like my side is asparagus, and,
The truck driver was his girlfriend.
and the car just.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
exactly.
yeah. So he's bleeding all over the drum set, and he's just not stepping up.
Yeah.
He just can't do it, obviously, because the man just got hit by a truck. What did you
Don't blame
expect?
him.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Well, first I couldn't play the song. Period. But if I could, I couldn't do it after getting hit by a semi truck.
Right, and Fletcher just kind of looks at him and goes, "You're done."
Yeah, you're done.
Like
Just
probably in the
get out.
calmest reaction he's ever given so far in this movie when he's angry. Just you're done.
I mean, props to him for trying.
Sure, but he kind of just embarrassed himself and everyone else on a live
Yeah.
stage.
I feel like in that moment, Fletcher is scarier than when he's angry, like yelling.
I'm gonna
that moment
like
right there.
say I don't even think Fletcher was like necessarily angry per se, but just like
No, he was just concerned in a sense.
not even concerned. More just like this isn't
Fletcher
happening.
concerned.
But then that's where
Would've thought.
after all of the was this is the first second competition. Yeah. So after all of the pressure, after everything that is built up throughout the whole movie, we're about I'd say an hour 10 into the movie
We're an hour
probably.
in, yeah.
We're about an hour in maybe. After
10.
all of this, it is just built up to such a point where he kicks over the drum set and live on stage in front of everybody dives
Attacks.
on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shane, for finishing my sentence. Dives on Fletcher and just attacks him.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the whole band needs to pull him off. You see both
Right.
drummers, you see one of the saxophone players I noticed, the guitarist, you see just all of them prying him off of Fletcher
Right.
as he's screaming and cursing and is just bleeding all over everyone.
Kinky.
He
Stop.
Wait a minute.
punched a hole in the drum kit. He is just losing it, right? And it's respectable at that point because after all of this, after what you just did, you ran for what was it they said
Couple
blocks after you got hit by a semi truck.
Right.
After all the practice, after all the work he's put in, after all that, Fletcher tells him he's out of the band.
Exactly.
Not just done with the song, he's
Just
out of the
out.
band, which is effectively game over to Neiman's career.
Right.
After all of this.
At least that we think.
Well, at least it's what it should be.
As what the audience thinks.
Yes. So that's where you just see he just breaks and he just attacks him.
Right. Which, and again, like you said, you can't blame him.
No.
Like, you really can't.
There's a lot. It's a lot of pent up anger.
Angles.
Angles.
I hate geometry! Are you acute or are you obtuse?
90 degrees!
Yeah, but anyway.
Angle side, mother!
Whoa, that doesn't exist.
Oh, but anyway.
Anyways.
This is the end of the second act, and we get to a scene with a lawyer and his father figure, his dad.
Yeah.
And that's where we learn the truth about what happened to the one student.
Yes.
I thought it was the dean of Schaefer, not the. I thought it was.
Was it the dean?
I thought it was somebody in charge of Schaefer, not one of his lawyers.
Okay, then it was probably the dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, you're probably right. I'll look it up real quick.
One of
Yeah.
the two.
My-
I think he was
And no matter what, it's an important figure that has the ability to do something about what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the reason I thought it was the dean is because they mentioned that they would just fire Fletcher and get him gone so he can't.
It's-
hurt anyone.
They encouraged him.
I looked
to
at the book
press
on
charges,
Wikipedia.
correct?
It is a lawyer.
Oh,
Okay.
it is.
Yeah,
Yes, that's why they encourage
yeah,
to press
yes,
charges.
yes.
Oh,
That's
okay,
what I
okay.
thought.
Exactly.
Then I misunderstood.
Still,
okay, it's
either
okay.
way, and that's where they learned that the person or Sean Connolly wasn't
Not
killed.
Sean Connolly.
I thought that was the guy's name. Sorry. I admit my mistake.
Yes, Sean Connolly.
Sean Casey is the guy's name.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I think it's so funny because I have a Sean Cassidy record in my living room.
Okay, bro, confused. The character Connolly.
Yes.
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Sean Casey.
Yeah,
And
Sean
Sean Cassidy.
It's a beautiful
That's what I
mixture
meant.
of not being that person.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
Anyways.
And Jennifer Connelly too, probably.
Oh,
Add
dude,
her in
I
there.
miss her. But
Anyways. Sean Casey, not Connolly.
dude, put Jennifer Connelly in this movie.
Exactly.
Make her Fletcher. I don't care.
Wait.
Just imagine.
Why not?
Get
out of my sight before I demolish you.
Yes, ma'am.
Could she even throw the chair?
Yeah.
It probably
I
won't
mean,
go.
it'd take a little longer, but sure.
Yeah,
she
give
can
it
do
time.
it.
But anyways, Sean Casey.
There you
Sorry.
go. Casey
He-
Kasem.
Little
I was
sensitive, but
driven
he
to go insane. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to America's Top 40.
Here's a long distance request from Mr. Fletcher. He writes,
Get on
"You
my
suck."
time.
suck.
He
Get off the
writes,
radio.
your narration is dragging. Please play Caravan.
Anyways, Sean
Well,
Casey.
here's this record for you. We'll be
Just
right back on American Top 40.
Just has it on standby.
Just in case. But he hung
I've been waiting for
himself.
this moment.
My entire life. Also, I can play Caravan on AM radio.
I was born for you, Fletcher.
And you were born for me. You belong with me. You belong with
child.
me. My squeaker. My squeaker.
Seems like we have a squeaker in the room.
Oh, that's true.
Anyways, we learned that from the Lord that Sean Casey killed himself by hanging himself.
It feels so bad that we're talking about this. I really had a 5-minute long laugh.
Sean Connery.
Casey Kasem.
Sean Casey hanged himself. Now cue that laugh track.
Da-da-da-da-da.
You just got
Anyways,
whiplash.
moving on.
This is Casey Kasem on the radio saying, "You've been whiplashed."
That's not what Casey Casey like. That's what I just said, Shane. Thank you for stealing my joke.
I wasn't. Anyway,
Guys, stop hitting my table.
anyways, moving on. And this scene, the lawyer is telling Andrew that Sean hung himself because of all the stuff that he has experienced with
Fletcher.
J.K. Simmons. Thank you. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was blanking on
J.K. Fletcher.
Yeah, J.K. Fletcher.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I say that today, but anyways, yeah, and they're trying to figure out ways to like press charges and all this stuff to basically get Fletcher fired. And does anybody else want to take over for me real quick?
And Charlie, we lost him. We lost him.
Thanks. What, Brice? What's so funny?
You don't get to yell. You don't get
I'm
that
not
card.
trying to yell.
You don't
What's
get
so
that.
funny?
You don't get that card. What
Are you okay? Howling over there? The full moon?
Sounded like a banshee. Sounded like a banshee over here.
Exactly. Save the wilderness.
It's the way that you looked at me, you go,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you guys had a little moment there. Like I was trying to hold it in to like keep it going. It was like it's not happening.
Future Aaron, I am
It's not
sorry.
happening.
I hurt my neck.
Hurt by everything else.
Did I ask?
Got a hernia.
Nice.
You have a lot of things, but anyways.
I'm sorry.
What do you mean by that?
I will not. I plead the fifth on this at this point.
My God, dude, you beat that amendment like Fletcher beat out Andrew's confidence.
What do you mean out?
Beat out.
There's a lot more to that.
Not my amendment! Am I rushing or dragging?
Jerry, I'm busted.
Oh man.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's this.
oh my god.
Oh man.
Jeez Louise, we just can't seem to get past this scene.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving right along.
They say they can press charges. It seems like he does because the next time we see Fletcher, he's not at Schaefer. He's doing a jazz club thing with another band or whatever. That's his new gig. And oh my god, Andrew talks to him after he finds him at a gig at a jazz festival, and they have a scene over drinks or whatever.
Yes.
This is my favorite scene in the movie.
I would like to say I thought this scene was phenomenally shot.
I'd agree.
There was so much visual symbolism that I noticed, and I didn't even know what would happen after that. I didn't know any more of the plot. I knew some of it leading up to this. I had no idea. After the second competition, I had no idea where the movie was going to go. So I just want to say the lighting, just as an aesthetic, was phenomenal.
Yes.
But also the fact that I'm sorry if I'm jumping over you.
Nah, dude, you good? Go.
Is where Fletcher then he is talking to Neiman and he goes, you know, my band that we're playing with this huge festival, my band, our drummer is just not cutting it. Would you like to come play with me?
Right, and that was after the dinner.
But
whatever.
this was, well, he's explaining that he's going to be playing in this festival. The whole time that he explains it at the festival is happening, there's a shadow cast over one side of Fletcher's face, which I believe is a physical representation of the two-facedness of
right.
Mr. Fletcher.
Agreed.
And
That caught my eye so much, and I was like, I wonder if something's going to happen, right? Like, that's the thing that you like, is when you don't know where a movie's going to go, and something like that catches your eye, and you go, I wonder what's going to happen.
And that's largely how you feel in this last third, as everything is winding down. Like, to your point about the shadows, Fletcher is usually cast in shadows. Like, that's another filmmaking thing this movie does all the time, where it utilizes lighting so freaking well. I'm so jealous for it. But like, every time Fletcher just kind of shows up, he's in darkness and everything, like you said. And they have this very interesting discussion about how no one really understood what Fletcher was doing at Schaefer. Very much kind of relating to Andrew about how he kind of feels misunderstood, right? Because when he was describing Sean, and he was describing him as kind of a skinny white kid who's very insecure about himself, who squeaked in, you could see how Andrew as a character was relating that to himself and how he could see that, right? And he was talking about, I'm going to sound like such an idiot, but I forgot the musician he was referring to during this story. Who was
Charlie Parker.
Thank
Bird.
You. Thank you.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how if Charlie Parker never would have been pushed, well, it wouldn't have been Charlie Parker, right?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of needed that, or at least in Fletcher's mind, that no one really understood what he was doing, because in his mind, no one else was willing to push people to kind of go past that limit, to kind of give it all up for the sake of your passion.
In a way, it almost showed like a quote-unquote human side to Fletcher.
Sure.
That maybe the way he does things isn't so much to be a jerk, it's just the way he is, you know?
Right, it finally gives him a motivation that he was, I don't want to say lacking, but maybe just one we weren't privy to for most of this movie.
But it also, my dad pointed out to me when we were talking about it, it explained almost the evil genius, if you will, behind Fletcher. Like, there wasn't he wasn't just trying to be this abusive scumbag to every student.
He was manipulative and he was smart.
And in his own mind, he was doing something to try and benefit other musicians and to benefit the world, as he said, by providing new musicians like Charlie Parker.
And the scariest part is, you want to agree with him. It isn't just a music thing. In any field, it does always kind of feel like people are just always kind of saying, and even like this too, you know, there's a lot of times where we've kind of recorded this podcast and I thought afterwards that was good enough.
Yeah.
You know, that was okay.
The two most harmful words in the English language are good job.
Good job.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, like in any movie, when you see from the point of view of the villain, you know, hey, maybe he's not so bad after all, you know?
He's right.
Right, and that's what makes Fletcher as a character so compelling, is that after this scene, you agree with him.
Yeah.
And some part of you maybe doesn't want to root for him, but just genuinely understands him.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when he's like, hey, my band drummer isn't really cutting it. We need someone who knows Whiplash and Caravan, those old kind of measures by heart.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it?
Right.
And
And-
he takes the opportunity.
He takes it, and then we get that pressure again where it's, hey, these people who are watching, they never forget, you make it great here, you might have the best gig of your life.
And
You
all
mess
that
up-
kindness gets thrown out the window.
Exactly. You mess up,
They'll
You'll-
never forget. Where's his exact
Yeah.
words?
right, and let's have fun.
Yay!
Let's have fun.
Jazz hands.
Yeah. Did you just use jazz hands on me?
There was a moment in that conversation where Fletcher just stares at him and it's like an uncomfortable pause.
Yeah,
I feel like at that moment you could kind of tell not everything's right.
I'd agree.
Something's gonna happen.
Something is off with him.
Right,
Yeah.
and then we cut to the studio band portion of this final act, which, oh my god, I love this scene
Yeah.
so much. So they play the first song. He doesn't have the sheet music. He lied to him. He
Yeah.
walks over and goes, "You really think I'm stupid?"
Exactly.
I know it was you. Oh my god,
yeah.
the tension
My
that
heart dropped.
I was about to say my heart dropped.
Yeah, that
Absolutely demolished.
I remember.
I was shocked.
The first time I watched this movie was college.
Yeah.
And I was in my dorm, kind of alone. My roommate was a studious creature, so he was at the library. Meanwhile, I was watching movies. And
He's an academic weapon. What
he
a
had
jerk!
he had a lot of hair and a lot of sharks. The man was weird. But anyway, love you, Joe. But anyway,
Yeah.
but what? My roommate's name was Joe.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just he had a lot of hair and a lot of sharks.
he loved sharks, dude.
Okay.
He was terrified by them, but he loved them.
Is he
was
watching Shark Week? Is he one of the
he's gonna
4
love the
people
new
watching
Lego
Shark
Jaws.
Week?
He is
Set.
Shark Week, dude.
Okay.
He's a complicated man. Not
Okay.
really. He's very simple, actually.
He's an interesting man. We'll put it.
But anyway, my life aside,
Yes.
he's screwed, right? He messes up the first song because obviously there's the sheet music. He doesn't know what it at all what he's doing, and everyone else is like looking at him like, dude, what the heck?
Yeah.
Why you choking this hard, dude?
Right.
And just when it kind of seems like all hope is gone, and he has to kind of leave the stage because Fletcher goes up to him and goes like, I guess you don't have it.
Yeah.
And he hugs his dad, and just when he kind of thinks everything is lost,
He goes.
I can only assume in this moment he was thinking back to that speech about Charlie Parker, about how if he never been pushed, would Charlie Parker become Charlie Parker?
It's so interesting that in the moment that Fletcher wanted to hurt Andrew, his teachings, how he taught Andrew came back to bite him.
Right.
And that
Maybe not even bite him. Maybe he wanted this the whole time. Again,
I would
To
say,
remember.
I would say there was definitely a switch almost. I'm kind of on Jeremy's side here, where I feel at that point Fletcher, he felt that his career and his chance to make another Charlie Parker was ruined. So this was a genuinely sinister attempt
Exactly.
to ruin
Right.
Neiman's
maybe
career.
he didn't even know it himself that this,
right. But then we get the most interesting part of the movie. And Andrew walks back on. He wags back on stage.
Yeah.
With his big old non-existent tail, and he walks.
his ego will potato.
I realized I had a flub there, and I was like, oh, I should own it. Never mind.
Yeah.
But he walks back on stage, and he just goes for it. He just starts doing Caravan. Everyone's looking at him like, what are you doing? I'll get you on cue. And we probably get one of my favorite musical showcases in all of them.
That was amazing.
No words or barely any words. There's a couple where Fletcher's looking
I
like,
could
what are you doing?
continue playing drums for the next 30 years and never be able to play the absolute masterpiece that was Caravan.
Right.
Like,
The way the camera just keeps cutting from everyone to everyone on every single bit of the band. Oh my god. The way Fletcher just kind of is focusing on all this nonsense and realizing, oh wait, there might be something going on here. And the way that Andrew just puts his entire heart and soul and body in destroying himself just doing this.
I absolutely love the moment that you can see Fletcher switch from being angry to
Just
being,
oh
yeah.
Yeah, I see what
it's
he's
the
doing.
symbol part where he flips the symbol up at him. It's like,
Yeah.
Something flipped.
And that's where. Why did you say it like Jeff Goldblum? Anyways,
so in a caravan.
Caravan, yes.
Yeah, so you were thinking too hard about
think this was
why
actually
if you could play the music, you didn't think about why you should.
Yeah, that's a Jeff Goldblum thing.
Oh yeah.
But that's why I also feel that Fletcher genuinely had bad intentions behind sabotaging Neiman, is because
No, right.
you see at first, even when he begins conducting the actual players,
Right.
is
He just looks
that he looks angry, like he doesn't want to do this, like he doesn't want to give Neiman this shot. And then after the song was supposed to end, Neiman continues going on this insane, incredible drum solo. And then you can see Fletcher get mad again, like, what are you doing? But then after a while, after Neiman keeps going,
Just keep going.
I'm sorry. After Neiman keeps on going, you can see Fletcher eventually walks over and kind of helps him, like, all right, now guide, like, time down, kind of slow down a little bit, go bring down the dynamics, then bring it back up, and then eventually they did, a final bit.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite shots in the whole movie is right before he starts doing Caravan, in that you look at a zoom in on Fletcher and it's a hellish red on his face.
It definitely is.
Oh my god!
I might have missed that.
I can pinpoint it for you if you want. Like,
please.
It's a great profile picture if you want to have it, but
I'll find it.
Thanks for stealing, Shane. But we get that amazing hellish red, and then obviously, like we kind of mentioned, he jumps into Caravan.
Yeah.
And we get the drum solo, and how it just keeps going and going and going.
Mm-hmm.
Fletcher takes off the jacket, kind of reverting back to what we're more used to him as.
Yeah.
As if, like, we're back to this kind of dynamic, and the movie ends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's might be one of my favorite endings in all film.
Mm-hmm. No, I
right
agree.
There.
When the jacket came off, I liked that it was a symbolic of, like, all right, he's going back to trying to help build the next Charlie Parker.
Right.
When I was watching this and I saw that ending, I literally, nobody else in the room, I just sitting there watching this movie. As soon as it, like, ended, I was like, that's a way to end a movie right there.
Right.
We were all tearing up at my house. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how it leaves you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't tell you anything super concrete about if he was the next Charlie Parker.
Yeah.
But the way, and again, like we mentioned previously with how his dad looked at him, is that something's different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something's changed.
He kind of has some fear.
I was just gonna say, I think his dad was probably like terrified in that.
That's
moment.
what I was
What
thinking,
did my
dude.
son
Like,
just
what's-
become? Like,
But yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it just-
What an ending.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
Exactly.
Like, I know we skipped past a couple portions where, like, Miles tries to talk to Nicole again, like, hey, come to this jazz thing after I told you
And
I
she's like,
whatever.
no.
Yeah,
And she's like,
so, like,
I have a
rather not.
boyfriend. I don't know if I can come.
I have a boyfriend. Get out of my life.
Oh, that's the other thing I meant to point out is I kind of actually, I like that because it showed that, like, firstly, when you commit to something, you're stuck with it in every way, right? Like,
Right.
There is no turning back, but also it showed, I think, there was a lot that it showed. It showed, I think, a maturity in Neiman of, like, priorities changing in life, right?
Right.
Sure.
But then also, just trying to think of how to actually, like, verbalize and express this.
Okay.
Is it
It's like an actions have consequences kind of thing.
Yes.
not
I
quite
would say
that. I mean, yes, but that's not quite what I'm getting at. Is it's
Okay.
more of a shoot. I'm really sorry. I'm just
No,
stuck
it's
forward.
fine.
No,
with
it's
this.
okay.
If somebody else wants to make another
No,
point, well,
go
I think
ahead.
I have a point to make. It was the thing of obsession that I was kind of alluding earlier. And one of these things, like, I guess a little tidbit behind the scenes about podcast stuff is that I'm obsessed with this, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I think about this nonsense day and night. Like, genuinely. Not to, like, say I'm better than any of them, but, like, I just, like, genuinely think about how we can make this better and how we can
Yeah.
make this bigger, like, a ton. Like, when I'm not thinking about movies and, like, writing and stuff, I'm thinking about this. The two things that are always on my brain is writing and podcast. The rest
Yeah.
comes second. I totally get it. And finding, like, that social time and kind of finding, like, that space to not really be obsessive is really hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard to turn that off, especially, like, when you're meeting someone new or you're kind of in a different environment and, like, this is all you think about. It's super hard sometimes to turn that off.
Yeah.
And I get it. And that's kind of why I do kind of relate to Neiman in this case, where it's like, this is his life. You know, music has always been his life. We get the videos from when he was a kid, he was drumming back then. Probably way better than I could drum now. And because I don't drum. But guys, you want the Charlie drum solo? Is extra content? No. But anyway,
Yes.
Yeah.
Charlie tries Caravan. Oh God. But anyway, but I totally get this obsession thing, what this movie is totally alluding to. And I think it's one of those things that I don't want to say you only get if, like, you're really passionate about, like, some of these fields, like music or art or film or anything like this. Because I think anyone with that kind of drive and that kind of obsession can really relate to that. It's just, again, the dangerous precedent. We see it especially in the ending where he basically just said, screw everyone else. I'm just going to go for it
Yeah.
and see what happens. Because we see this side of Neiman a ton where he doesn't really care a ton for others in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like, he screws everyone else around him all the time, whether it was the folder or the concert or this. He actively, inadvertently, whether because Fletcher didn't tell him what music he was playing. Sure, you can say that's on Fletcher, but you can always say, like, that's karma or whatever,
Yeah.
This was all kind of his. He was never really a passive character in this plot.
Mm-hmm.
He was active. And that's why I also really like this movie, is that the fact that these are just two very active characters making choices, when a lot of movies nowadays are just kind of very passive, where it's like, this thing happened, go do it. And I guess it's generally a difference between blockbuster filmmaking, kind of this more personal kind of style of story, which again, there's obviously differences. I like both.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. This is the engaging stuff right here. Characters talking is what I live for, and that's why I love that scene at the dinner table, and just kind of that obsession that kind of drives this whole thing. I don't know if like you kind of materialize what you're gonna say, but
yeah, kind of. The whole girlfriend call thing is it showed it was like his priorities shifted in such a manner that he was like, he still was all in for the drum thing, but now he's trying to bring her into that world, right? Like he didn't just want the drums as a priority. He wanted to bring in somebody that, at least in his own head, he cared about. He didn't always really show it, given the breakup and everything, but it was, his priorities changed and his life had changed to a point where he wanted to bring her into the world, not just have two separate worlds of, oh, here's me and Nicole and here's me and drumming. It's, hey, let's bring Nicole into my drumming world.
Right.
Because before that, he was in the competitions while talking and dating Nicole, but he never invited her. He never, at least to our knowledge of what we've seen, he never tried to bring her into that world.
Right.
So that is something, that's what I've been trying to think of. Sorry, it took me that long.
No, it's okay. And I think that kind of ends the movie. I guess we'll kind of just do some closing thoughts, roundtable. Aaron, we'll start with you again, because you've been probably the quietest.
Yes, I have.
All five of us. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I've enjoyed the listening room over here. Enjoying everyboy's thoughts.
You were dragging this whole time.
Yeah, I was dragging this whole time,
Of course.
definitely. But no, I can the whole obsession thing too, because I've had them before. Those that
have them now.
I have them now, yes. And like you were saying with the podcast, I mean, this is it's been a collective effort from all of us, sure, but I've seen so much passion from you in this, and with my own career, I'm in radio. For those that haven't picked up on that yet, or if this is your first episode,
Listen
I
to
don't know.
93.5 WHMI, guys. I do it all the time.
Yes, nice. Thank
I didn't know
you.
that you were part of the radio.
I listened to you yesterday. We had people over. It's like, let's listen to it.
Yeah, but
Jeremy!
Jeremy's just being
It's okay, dude.
get to the corner.
You can listen to now.
You're on timeout.
You
No.
good, man?
now he's okay.
Yeah,
he's
he's
all right. Now you.
What?
Dear Stash, we wish to replace Shane.
Ready for you.
No one.
But no, but yeah, like I do radio, and yes, I do kind of sometimes. I'm sure you all have heard me talk. I talk about radio a lot, and but when I'm on the air, if you've ever listened to me, I make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, but and when I get off the air, it's a great quote that a great phrase that Phil introduced me to. He was on our Work Stories Part 2 episode. Is that's not going on the demo reel. Which it's great. But when I get off the air, we're going to like a commercial break or something after I just did a break and I didn't do so hot about it, I do try to push myself to do better.
No,
on
right.
that. And I don't just sit there and that quote about good job, that's a horrid phrase. And yeah, it is. Because if I just sat there and I make a whole bunch of mistakes on this and I just say, nah, that's fine. Good job on me, whatever. I don't treat it as a whatever.
Right.
And a lot of people will tell me, my parents, of course, my parents are like, oh yeah, you're doing a great job, Aaron. And and I'm like, well, no, I'm not. I mean, yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm getting there.
Right.
Sure, I'm still very young in this business.
Right.
But I'm trying to push myself to be better and better and better to, to make this a career, whether it's it continues on radio or if it continues in a podcasting direction, TV, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I just know what I'm doing right now. And if I just keep that mentality of, oh, I'm just doing a good job. No, it's fine.
Right.
And I flubbed half of it. And it's just,
You
it's,
just think you're doing the bare minimum. You
right.
gotta go
No,
over it.
right. I don't try to do the bare minimum. And I've tried to push myself. But it gets to that point where you can't, I push myself, sure, but I don't want to push myself to that, to the breaking point.
Right.
And I always try to keep some kind of level of, I guess, I can't think of the best way to phrase this, sanity.
Just not
Not having a mental breakdown in the corner because I didn't read a line or card correctly,
Right.
or I flubbed a line. And usually I'll play off of that too if I make a mistake. Like I do the words are hard if you listen to the radio show.
I made that phrase up, guys.
Yeah.
I want my credit.
Words are hard. That's not going on the demo reel. I always try to play around with it.
Right.
But I always, when I get a line correctly or I post to the vocals of a song or something and I do a really good job, I mark that down.
Yeah.
I have a thing where I mark down because I take air checks too. For those that don't know, air checks, basically just a recording of what you did. And, I'll take air checks and I'll take notes of that. And I want to try to improve myself, but I don't want to get myself to that breaking point.
Right.
And so that's why I can really understand that. And that part of that movie with the good job, that's a key point I
need
took
that
down.
like on a mug or something. I don't
Yes.
know, but we'll do an opposite direction this time, Jeremy.
Yes.
We'll move to you because I do feel bad you've been a little quiet this episode. So, yap.
Yap away.
So there's one final thought that I have about the movie. At the end, when Neiman starts Caravan, I've always just wondered why did that cello player, when he cued in I'll cue you in, when he said that, was that a cello player?
It was a bass.
A bass. Okay. Why did he start playing? Why did the bass guy start playing? He didn't have to.
No.
In my mind, if I was the bass player, why would I play? Fletcher's gonna kill me. Why did he do that?
That's true. That's a very true thought. It's
never made sense to me.
I mean, partially it could have been at that point you're so far into it, right? You're already the
Right.
drummer's already going at it, and the crowd is clearly confused. It would be, no pun intended, but legitimately it would be more of a whiplash to go, because Fletcher was about to say we're going to take it softer now, and then
He just
Caravan
goes for
starts
it.
off.
No.
It would be crazier to kick the drummer out and have
Dramatic
him just
finish.
Yeah, exactly. Dramatic finish.
It would have been crazier for the drummer to start than stop
with the
like
level
that.
5.
Jeez. Would have been crazier for the drummer to start and shut up.
Sorry, I love Dragon Ball Fighters. Then my brain was like, dramatic finish. That's Dragon Ball. I know that.
It would have been crazier.
Doodle.
Would have been crazier for the drummer to start than stop like that than it would be to just keep going. So that would be my guess as to why the bass player started. But that is a really good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that phrase, and this is another, I'm all about my phrases and stuff that I've, picked up from people over the years. You can't make it worse than it already is. Because he's, like you said, it's already kind of in deep with this.
Yeah.
Right.
He's already doing this. So I'm thinking maybe a point of inspiration, kind of that beacon, oh, okay, we're doing this. Why
Right.
not? This is already happening. We're already in this situation. Why not?
Right.
Which I think was phenomenal, and it led to a great scene.
Right.
So
Agreed.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? All right, then I'll go back to me. I don't like how I said that. Gross.
back to me.
Back to me. I'm the most important person here.
I study film.
I don't like your interpretation of a scene. Die!
Immediately goes for the throat.
is good.
Nothing in this
You're
movie was
saying you
good.
don't understand the intricate
Well,
uses of the color blue in this movie?
All right,
I will cut your hair.
Listen.
You didn't use
Listen.
you didn't use another color. I do not like this movie at all.
One final thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never have I ever realized how much I hate the color yellow until I watched this movie.
Interesting.
Whoa.
I know you said it's a good thing.
It technically has a purpose, yes.
I understand that, but it didn't have to be that yellow.
No.
Looking like a McDonald's mustard packet over here.
It's kind of like late 2000s video
Oh, yeah.
games. How every video game back then was all just gray
And green.
and green.
Yeah.
And that was just that was the color of 2005 to 2010.
And we don't miss it. But anyway.
No, we don't miss it at all.
Back to you, Charlie.
Yes, thank you. But I'll shorten up my little closing statements. But as I kind of said, I love this movie. I love it a lot. I just kind of love what it says about obsession and just kind of being driven and just how dangerous that can be when you're not being careful about it. Like, to your point, Aaron, where you're kind of beating yourself up after oh, you messed something up.
Yeah.
That was me on the radio show a ton.
Yeah.
There were shows that either we did together, or Shane, you and I did together, all of four of us did together.
The Full
Because we
House.
never had Jeremy on the show, unfortunately. No. But like I would just be sitting there just going, oh, I could have said that joke better, like, oh, I could have done this part, and I'm just like totally beating myself in between like segments or whatever, and then it's like
Right.
back on the air. Hello, humans.
Yeah.
Like-
It's that live kind of, I don't want to say dynamic, that's not the right word, but it's that live effect.
Right.
Where this is live.
You say it, you're done.
Yeah, you say it, you're done. There's no cutting, there's no editing.
can't go
We don't have a dump button.
Right.
So we can't drop out audio. It's
Right.
just it is what it is.
Right. And you know, that pressure always kind of worked for me, better for worse, because sometimes that is how I produce my best work, just in terms of like, you know, being funny or entertaining.
Yeah.
Like being live is generally kind of where sometimes I work best. But also like it can just be in the immediate like
Yeah.
but you know
That happened.
so,
Yeah.
and watching this movie after I did 2 years of that was so interesting because I could totally relate how Neiman was feeling where
Yeah.
and like just my other like going to college and like all of my other bodies of work and all that nonsense where just you obsess over something so much where it's everything, and when it doesn't work it's just kind of soul crushing and no one else is around you sometimes to understand, and I totally get it. Like it's just the worst. And you know, you can do two things about it. You can either like, you know, have a very healthy perspective of, oh, I'll do it better next time, not acknowledging you did a good job here, or just interrupting a studio concert.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I love this movie for a ton of reasons. We went over J.K. Simmons, obviously a phenomenal actor, his
course.
best role.
Oh, yeah.
Miles Teller, probably his best role here too, even though he's had some good ones like in the past as well. Yeah, he's pretty good in that one. Awful Mr. Fantastic, but that wasn't his fault. But
Was Mr. Fantastic?
yeah, and Fan
didn't know
and
that?
Fan Forced and Fan Forstick, dude. The 2015 one.
Yeah, that one.
Not his fault. He was a
don't talk
bad
about
one.
that
Not his fault. He was a bad one. That was the script's fault. But anyway,
Yeah, that's fair.
if we want to
Say
talk
that
about
again.
that dumpster fire, ooh, boy.
Oh no.
Say that
What are you
again.
talking about? Next year, Fantastic Four comes out. We talk about that bad movie before it comes out, and then we talk about the good one. Or
But you're
hopefully,
saying that the next one's gonna be bad.
if it is, I'm quitting.
No, if it is, I'm done.
But anyway, just kidding. I'll be on the Marvel train forever. I always say I'm
Nerd.
gonna quit.
He'll
But
never leave. The obsession.
yeah, exactly. I'm obsessed about Spider-Man. Give
That's
me
true.
more pictures.
More pictures of Spider-Man.
Get on my time, Spider-Man. Are you swinging, Spider-Man?
Or are you climbing?
Are you swinging or are you falling?
Woo!
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. But anyway, that's Whiplash. I love it.
Yeah.
Bryce, it's your turn.
All right. Well, so something I want to say is kind of like what Aaron was saying, but more on the practice method and the
Okay.
practice side, like his dedication and his determination and his drive that he showed when he was practicing was incredible, right? Like there was the scene where he dips his hand into the water because it was bleeding, and it just the whole picture just filled
red.
with blood. It was disturbing visually to look at, but it showed just the intensity of what he
Yeah.
was doing, right? And so
Which I don't
something-
think was a bad thing.
no,
at
it's
all.
not. But it just shows just how deep he's going. Of like I'm giving it my everything. This is my all. Quite literally, like I said, forsake all else, or like my dad said. But so something that I kind of try to live by is the quote from one of my Guitar heroes, Steve Morris, is "Don't practice till you get it right. Practice till you can't get it wrong."
Hey.
There
Right?
you go.
Because
That's
he's
the way of doing it.
because he's saying like if you get it right, okay, so what? Anybody can get it right, but to not be able to get it wrong, that's when you know that you've mastered it.
Right.
And so that's what he was doing, like how he had what was it, Whiplash memorized by heart, Caravan by the end he had that memorized by heart.
Right.
That's what it's going for, is it's striving for that perfection. And it's just an incredible parallel, right? As I'm like, okay, well, why aren't I giving it my all? When I play, my hands aren't going to burst open and bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what am I doing? Saying, oh, you know, my wrist kind of hurts, my forearm's a little tense. I'm gonna stop for today. What am I doing? Right? It's an inspiration, like a call to me almost. You know, like it's great, and that's something I don't even think that was an intent of the movie, was to inspire other musicians. It could have been, but it was.
With a tail it wove.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's kind of one of my closing thoughts. But overall, I loved this movie, man. Man, I wish somebody told me to watch it sooner, because I totally should have.
Oh, Charlie's fuming
So-
right
Oh boy.
now.
Oh boy. Oh
Whole
boy.
life I've
Charlie,
watched it.
Charlie, save it for when we're done.
Yeah. Yeah. You can
So-
rage in a bit. Rage in a bit.
Yeah.
rage in a bit. Okay, fume in a bit. Hold the fume. Hold the fume.
Anyway.
Actually, I am wrong. Jeremy did tell me to watch it back sophomore year, and I really should have listened to him.
Yeah.
I told you to watch it.
So, Shane, any closing thoughts? Mr. Watched it 5 times?
Yes. So after watching it all these times, I still enjoy it. There's a lot.
Shocking.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the movie, and how, and Aaron, Charlie, you guys are talking about how like you guys like think about how your mistakes and what you can do to
Brice
change
said
yourself.
it too.
Brice, everybody, okay.
I didn't say
Anyways, well,
No, Jeremy.
everybody,
I'm sure you thought about it. I don't know, man. I don't want to leave you out in the dark like that.
you thought about it. Anyways, moving on with what I was saying.
Yes.
Like you all talk about of how you want to like try and be better. That's also with me as well as like being a better person, because some days I notice that like I can act like in a different way, and that's just not like me. I want to strive to be someone better. Even with my job at college, with being a part of video services, there are some times where I mess up with the camera angle, where there have been times where my boss told me like, Shane, like move the camera over to this side, where I forget to, and I try and look back. I even look at some of the footage that we've gotten during like some of the events, and I'm just like, okay, what can I do? Like, does the lighting, does the iris look good, which helps with like the brightness, darkness, the zoom, everything about that. Does the sound level sound good? And I try and keep mental notes about what to do and how to make myself better with what I'm doing. Like Brice, with that one quote you just said earlier about like keep doing it until you don't do it wrong. That is a really great quote. I highly respect that. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Steve Morse.
exactly. And just all in all, this movie is kind of like like just basically saying like you got to keep trying and trying until you actually get it. Even like the amount of times like you make mistakes so many times, it's just so much practice. And this movie is actually another one of my top 5 movies of all time. I personally like it, and if you want to give this a shot, watch it. Just go on Amazon, rent it, and just give it and just watch it.
This was a very long synopsis.
This was almost an hour and a half. Of
We pretty much almost did minute for minute, like band for band with the movie of like time.
yeah, we're
Wow.
I think almost an hour 30.
I mean, some of this will be cut, obviously.
Well,
but
some yeah, but still, like
this is a long boy.
you cut out the credits of the movie too as well, because that's technically in runtime. So
Yeah,
if
it's
you
like
look
4
at
minutes gone.
so if you look at that, and that's like an hour 40, and our podcast will probably be like an hour 15, maybe hour 20.
Something like that, yeah.
Depends.
After all the cutting and everything.
Yeah, after-
That's what I
after-
just said,
Just
Shane.
saying.
It's to cut that part too now. But speaking of cutting, don't cut and run from this podcast. We have a ton more episodes coming out. So if you guys really liked Whiplash, check out our other ones we did. We have a ton of other ones that came out previously, obviously. We have a ton of more movies and shows we want to talk about. So
Yeah.
if you kind of like what this kind of was, follow us, share it with your friends. We're on a bunch of other services too. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on YouTube, we're on Amazon Music, we're on a ton of nonsense. We're on iHeart, we're on a ton of things.
Also,
All the big services we're on. What's
Yes.
it?
Also, if you want to send us your suggestions for what we should do in the future,
Yes.
we do have a Google form on our Instagram page.
And our Facebook.
And
It's-
Facebook.
It's pinned at the top. It has Captain America saying, I want you to suggest episode ideas.
Exactly. So go to that, give us your suggestions, and we will be glad to look at those, and we'll do those in the future.
Exactly. But I think that's it.
That's Whiplash.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm Charlie Robinson, and I'll be on time next time.
Okay, we're all pointing at each other. I was gonna tell
Spider-Man.
last. I'm Brice Guskovic. Thank you all for listening and hopefully enjoying our show here. Thank y'all.
I'm Shane Siegel, and I'm saying thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this podcast.
I'm Jeremy Gombos, and I just want to thank the host for having me on this legendary podcast.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Anytime.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah. You're welcome back anytime.
Of course.
Yes. Just give us a ring.
They are smiling so
Yeah.
hard. They're
I
going
don't know why you're
They're
smiling
going to
like
be
that.
abusing that. Aaron, end the episode.
On the episode right now. Francis is here. Get Jeremy here.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm Aaron Gresser, and we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to the Double After Hours podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to check out our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I'm Aaron Gresser, and thanks for staying after hours.
Why do you suppose I just hurled a chair at your head, Neiman?
I don't know.
Sure you do.
The tempo?
Were you rushing or were you dragging?